FieldWatch leads the world in online brand protection and compliance monitoring. It scrubs the entire internet looking for any content that could harm your company in order to bring it to your attention for immediate action and remediation. With our powerful platform, your team can immediately address any violations in order to get ahead of regulators and avoid brand risks. To learn more about FieldWatch, log on to fieldwatch.ai and schedule a demo with our team today. Hi everyone, and welcome to Risk Radio, a FieldWatch original podcast featuring one-on-one discussions with key players in multiple industries dealing with risk, compliance, and brand challenges.
Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. We have an exciting episode for you today. But before we jump in, I wanted to remind you, we've recently branded to better reflect our mission around compliance, risk awareness, and innovation. So I'm excited to re-announce that we are now Risk Radio. I'm Jerilyn Taylor Passey, and I'll be your guide as we explore the people, trends, and ideas shaping the future of social selling. Today, we are thrilled to welcome Bethany Balsdon, the Director of Market Development at USANA. USANA has built an incredible global presence and continues to be a leader in health, wellness, and direct selling innovation. We are excited to dive into marketing strategy, global growth, and how brands continue evolving in such a fast-paced landscape. Hi, Bethany. Thanks so much for being here today. To kick things off, can you tell our listeners a little bit about your role?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jerilyn. Okay, so yes, as you said, I am with USANA as the Director of Market Development for the US. So I oversee marketing for the US specifically in all languages, as well as sales for the US English market. So that is any other language but Chinese. So it's a big role, lots of responsibility, and a fast-paced growing role as well.
Right. So that sounds amazing. I had no idea you encompass so many aspects of global languages and everything. So super excited to jump into that and hear a little bit about what your team focuses on. We're excited to hear your insights, and I know our listeners are as well. So let's go ahead and jump in. One of our first questions is, USANA has built a strong global presence. What marketing strategies have been most effective in driving that international growth?
Yeah, so we're in, over 20 different markets, which is incredible, but it does make it difficult to be aligned in marketing and brand and how we visually show up. So we've really had to, I would say more recently, align around what our mission is. And our mission is to create the healthiest families on earth. And so with that in mind, we build our marketing around 4 core beliefs. So belief in the product, belief in the company, belief in the business model, and belief in yourself. So all of our marketing filters through those funnels. And that's something, regardless of what market you're in, we can all find something to within those 4 pillars that we can relate to. I would say over the last many, many years, USANA has led with science. And that has worked super well for us. However, I think as we evolve with the economy and what people need, we're seeing a trend to leading with community. So I'm really, really excited to see where that leads us, and bringing people into the company because they have this need to want to connect to something bigger than themselves. Again, in those 4 core beliefs: product, company, business model, and yourself.
That's amazing. I love that. That's such a great mission statement with such a big company. Like, where do you start? Everything seems maybe siloed, but trying to get everybody together on the same page is really just a culture thing at the center of it. So I think that's amazing that everybody can come together and lead together from there. and drive
Yeah.
international growth. That's so hard for companies to do, especially compliantly and on the same page and in the same right policies and procedures. So I couldn't
Mhm.
even imagine how complicated and complex that could be for you. But so you
Yeah.
kind of mentioned a little bit about this just now, but when you're approaching building a consistent global brand, how
Mhm.
do you still allow flexibility for different markets and cultures and audiences? So I know you're focusing on trying to keep brand together and molded in one kind of big platform, but how do
Yeah.
you also keep those other traditions and markets and cultures kind of alive and included?
Yeah. So
Or
we
what?
really, yeah, we really, it's tough. We have to find the difference between brand identity and brand expression. So brand identity never changes. That is consistent. Expression of the brand is where markets and the field have the autonomy to show up
Mhm.
how they are. And so
Yeah,
we've been able to define the distinction between brand identity and brand expression. And as a company, we have to make sure that we're towing the line too in our marketing between being too rigid. Again, when we are talking
mhm.
about leading with science, that can sometimes be science isn't always sexy. So being too rigid and giving the information versus too loose, right? And so we
Absolutely.
corporately have to toe that line, and we allow our field, what we call brand partners, to tow it with us as well.
That's amazing. Yeah, that I couldn't imagine having to deal with all those different moving pieces. And that's
Yeah.
not something, I would ever have thought of. So I'm so glad you're able to share that with us today because it's not something my brain kind of typically goes to when you think of huge companies like that and what they're doing to all stay aligned. And then obviously my brain's always going to compliance. So how does that
Yeah.
all work together with compliance? It's funny you say uh, that's not sexy because a lot of people say compliance isn't sexy. So I totally get that. We're trying to change that our compliance brand on that and let people know we're not here out, we're all not out to get to you. We're all trying to work together. And I think
Yeah.
um, again, that's where it all starts is with the culture. So
Yeah.
I think you mentioned, a little bit how those pieces work together, but in your overall marketing strategy, how do you support them in becoming successful brand advocates?
So like I've said, we've led with science and
Mhm.
we provide them all the information that they need to feel really well educated and equipped to help their customers. However,
Yeah.
we also say this is us giving you the information so that you feel confident. It is not um, it's going to be too much for a customer. We want you to take this information and use it to tell stories. So that's where the difference lies is we provide very informational flyers, lots of wording, lots of information, education, and then we train our brand partners to have that as in the back of their minds, but that's not something they need to become experts on. We're the experts. They always have us. We have something that we created called Ask the Scientist, which is a
Okay.
really cool resource that our brand partners can use at any time. It's always available, and our scientists actually answer the questions. So they can type in any question, like a customer or even a brand partner can type in any question about the product that they have. And one of our scientists, we have over 150 scientists on staff at USANA, and they will answer it for them. And so that takes the pressure off of our brand partners having to be experts at
Yes.
everything. We have quite a lot of SKUs, and it would be very
Yeah.
overwhelming for somebody coming in to feel like they have to know everything. And so we've created that resource for them. And so we give them the information, we have this resource. However, we say your job is to tell your true story, your product story, your story with the company
Mhm.
culturally, your story with the opportunity, and then leave the education to us. So again, that's kind of how we support them. I hope I answered that correctly.
Yep, absolutely. That's a great tool. So what's it called? Ask a Scientist?
Ask the scientist. Yeah, and
Ask the
something.
Scientist. How do
Yep.
they access that to be able to ask those questions? Is this in your back office or how are you providing
Yep.
those
You
tools?
literally type in like ask the scientist, USANA, and it pops up. And it has like a ton of resources in there already, but we also have the function for them to type in their own questions and get the answers that they need. And
That's
again,
amazing.
yeah, we have all those scientists right in the head office that are ready and willing to answer.
That's amazing. That's so great. I had no idea. So if someone is considering posting online on their social media about one of your products and they really want to make sure they get something right, they just go into their back office, type in ask a scientist, and then they can confirm or decline what they're going to ask. So that does that help a lot with piecing together your market strategy with compliance?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's a great resource for them to check ingredients, to
Mhm.
check recommendations. Like this person, like what would I recommend? What product would I recommend if my customer is saying XYZ? And a scientist will give them those answers, or if there's any ingredient questions, because we have to make sure that we're always compliant and we're not making any claims as well.
Right.
So that resource is readily available to them.
That's amazing. So in the onboarding process, when a new distributor comes on, are
Mm.
they told about this process? Is there a training process to let them know what to do when these things come up, or even how to use like disclaimers? Is that all but part of that tool as well?
Disclaimers, not so much. That's part of our onboarding for sure, but we definitely promote Ask the Scientist for all of even our customers. Like our brand partners can use it too, but our customers have the ability to help themselves as well, which again takes the pressure off of our brand partners to know everything.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So as a customer, just a buying customer, they could just ask from your website.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
isn't that
that's amazing.
cool?
That's amazing. I wish more people had that because, I think that's a really great put up uh, to help for prevention with
Yeah,
multiple things across the board. That's amazing. Okay, I'm definitely going to make sure some of our other
test it out. See if you can
community
stump
partners
our
know it.
scientists.
Yeah, that's a great thing too. Maybe we should have them on our podcast, Stump Our Scientists.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
So many ideas. Um, so I think this all kind of blends together, but just so it's a direct question, I wanted to go ahead and ask
Yeah.
how you're ensuring everything stays aligned with industry guidelines. You did mention that that is something that you're watching and you're aware of, but how are you specifically ensuring that those industry guidelines and compliance expectations are happening? Like I'm
Yeah.
sure you guys you're having to look and make sure all that's happening, and you have a different um, way to tattletale or things like that. Um,
Yeah.
do you want to explain that process for you, how that looks on your end of things? Because I know how it typically looks in the compliance department, but is that kind of affecting how you're doing anything?
It's interesting because I live in two worlds. So I live in the marketing world and I live in the sales world. So and I'm relatively new to USANA. I started about a year ago. So I also have kind of fresh eyes and am still learning the history, the 30 plus history of
They're
USANA.
so big and so old. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And um I think at one time in USANA's history, we cracked down really hard in a compliance way, and we're really kind of slapping the hands of some of our field to the point where they no longer knew what to say. And we know when they're confused or scared, they just do nothing. Um,
Right.
and so I think we are still kind of, and that's why we led with science because the science is the science. It's the products,
Mhm.
right? And so now we're still kind of coming out of that and coming around and through education, we're doing a lot
Education.
more compliance, like panels, getting our lawyers actually in front of the field, and teaching them what they can and can't say, do this, not that, but giving them the words to say. Like, okay, you want to
Right.
say this, I know, instead say this. So whereas before we were just saying, no, can't say
No,
that, right?
don't
And
say that. But what do you say?
yeah,
Right?
exactly. So giving them, and again, if we're really leaning into community, really leaning into storytelling. We have tons of
Mhm.
amazing product testimonials, amazing opportunity testimonials of what this business has done for people and changed their
Yeah.
lives. And so we really need to make sure that people are telling their story compliantly, but we need to tell stories. So that's where at events and through webinars and Zooms, we're really doing like meet the lawyers, meet the people behind the scenes, meet compliance. They're not here to get you in trouble. You're not going to get in trouble. We want you to win. We're all on the same team, and so we've made that a priority here so that we can get back to telling stories. Because sometimes science isn't always sexy, right?
Science isn't always sexy and compliance isn't always sexy.
Yeah.
So yeah, we totally get that. That's the one of the, downfalls in trying to be in compliance, especially right now in today's very scrutinized
Hmm.
viewpoint of social selling is
Yeah.
how do we keep from slowing down creativity and growth, but
Yeah.
staying in compliance? And it's because we're all having to work together. And like you said, providing those tools, providing that education, really having a presence in your events on social
I think,
and just
yeah, even
maintaining a relationship there.
getting compliance in on projects really early on. So kind of explaining, I mean, they're only as good too as what sales or marketing gives them. So I think too, like when we're doing a product launch, we'll have compliance in on all of the meetings so that they're hearing why this product is needed, what it does, what are the benefits, what are the risks before we get on stage and we promote it or we do a recording in the train. They're in all the recordings that we do so that they can say to us,
Yes,
we might want to switch this language the way you're saying this. So
getting
that
ahead of it.
yeah, so that by the time we send them a final copy, they're not saying, "Oh my gosh, this is a complete mess."
You have to
Yeah.
redo this. This cannot go
Yeah.
out. Yeah, that would be definitely restrictive. And that's, we want compliance to be a companion. And I know
Yeah.
I keep talking a lot about compliance, but you're kind of overseeing multitudes of different pieces of this. So I could
Yeah.
only imagine how you're trying to keep everything running with the sales, marketing, and compliance aspect of it. So I applaud you for that. That sounds so hard to deal with. So
We can do hard things.
we can do hard things. Yes. Thank you, Miss Rachel. Okay. So I know we both have toddlers, so I
Yeah.
sometimes get stuck into that toddler mentality, but sometimes it's better. We can do hard things.
Yeah.
Looking ahead, what trends or opportunities are you most excited about when it comes to growing and evolving the USANA brand? Which again, I can only imagine it being very hard to look into the future with it, considering it has such a past and like what even really needs to change there. So how do you just make something better that's always already so great?
I think USANA is in a really cool place, a place I'm super excited for. Again, we have 30 plus years of history and legacy and foundation that has been built. And now, as the world changes, we're looking to freshen everything up, and people are moving to social and social selling, but um, there's still this need. Actually, I'll say after we all kind of got locked in our houses for a
Yeah,
long time,
yeah.
um, people want to have fun again and in person. And I'm really excited to make USANA fun. And I think after the pandemic, people want to be a part of a community and a culture where they're having fun and they're having joy and uh,
Yeah.
learning from each other. And so I think we're all in a place where we're kind of coming out from behind our computers and just bringing that joy back again, which is such an underrated metric, in my opinion, is fun. And
Yeah.
the majority of the field works 7 to 10 hours a week on top this business, on top of probably their regular 9 to 5. And so if they're not having fun outside of their job, then they won't do it. And so I feel like we're at USANA, we're in a really cool place to show how fun this can be and have
Mhm.
really great events and maybe tweak the branding a little bit to bring in more people. Um, so yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm most excited about, I think, is just the future for USANA built on this legacy brand and
Mhm.
legacy leaders that are just so loyal and has one of the best retention rates I've ever seen in this industry. Um, so yeah, I think the future is very bright.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Yeah. That's a great opportunity. We're just out here trying to make things fun and sexy and connected. So I
Yeah.
love that. And you have such a great foundation already with, who USANA is and people know who they are. And so all you can do is kind of really go up from there. So
Yeah.
um, I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes for you. So before we wrap it up, is there any advice you would give to companies trying to build strong brand trust? Since we know how strong USANA's is and how building community engagement in today's evolving social environment really can impact the direction maybe like a startup could go or somebody who's kind of growing or is a newer brand.
It's a great question. I would say for like a startup, I would say be loud and proud. I am a big believer in this channel, in this industry. And I think we all know in the past it has had its challenges and the stereotype and the stigma, but I believe leading with community, leading with fun, leading with trust, and I think you cannot go wrong and be loud and proud about that and show up on social media in that way that this is a place where people again find I'm going to beat this drum, find joy and find fun.
Mhm.
You cannot go wrong. Um,
Yes.
that would be my biggest advice is like be loud and proud.
Yeah, especially about if your product and your customers are that's really, I think, the basis of everything is being customer centric. So if you
Yeah.
have a startup idea and your product is amazing, definitely be loud and proud.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll kind of weed yourself out. But yeah, finding the joy and the connection and the community that is within this industry and a lot of social selling that's going on out there, just even outside of direct sales and industries, is just about the community and the practice, but also really honing in on making sure your product is good too, right?
Yeah,
It's a lot of
absolutely.
different components that can really create a great brand. And
Absolutely. Your product definitely needs to have a differentiator now. I mean, the market is saturated with tons of
very
products. But
much,
what I really believe from a marketing and branding perspective, what's going to set you apart is showing that community. Because not every just product-based company has that. They just sell products. We don't just sell products. We sell a lot more. But the challenge is showing that and showing up that way.
yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Okay. Well, I feel like I've learned a lot today from you. Thank you so much for
Thanks for having
being with
me.
us today. We were so happy to have you and learning your perspective. One of the great things about having this podcast is we're really reaching out and branching out to other departments like marketing and sales and not just so much focusing on compliance now.
Yeah.
So hearing your side of things, it just really helps bring, I think, us together and how we work together in compliance and sales and marketing just stronger. So thank you for that. Did you have any other things to share or until next
No,
time?
Until next time, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I could talk about this industry products all day long. So you're gonna have to
Yeah.
tell me to
Okay.
stop at
Well,
some point.
maybe we should do a part two
Part two. We do one
about
on
product.
marketing, one on sales. Yeah.
Yeah, almost. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, to all of our listeners out there, thanks for tuning in to Risk Radio. Don't forget to like, follow, and share, and we'll see you next time.
And that's all we have for you today. Thanks for listening to Risk Radio, a FieldWatch original podcast. If you enjoyed these conversations, be sure to keep up to date with FieldWatch at fieldwatch.ai and be on the lookout for our next Risk Radio episode wherever you listen to podcasts.